So, when you are over 40, the worst thing you can do is ignore your hormones, how your hormones play into how you look, think, and feel. And I get it. You certainly don't receive training in school on the role your hormones play in menstruation and having children and your actual quality of life. And if you're experiencing symptoms such as unexplained weight gain, insomnia, anxiety, or moodiness, we're told to eat less, exercise more, given a pat on the back, and maybe a prescription. But let me ask you this. If you were experiencing a water leak in your home, would your solution be to put a bucket under it and forget about it? Or even live in a house that is flooded? No. So, why on earth would ignoring bodily functions that control the way you look, think, and feel be a solution, especially if you're dealing with all sorts of unpleasant symptoms? And actually, some of you might not realize that a lot of your symptoms go back to your hormones. So, if you don't get educated on your hormones and what changes your body goes through in your 40s and 50s, well, you can just resign yourself to dealing with night sweats, insomnia, an ever expanding waistline, loss of sex drive, no energy, and well, you get the picture. So, today I'm going to go over the basics of your hormones, so a lot more teaching than I usually do in videos, and explain what it means to enter perimenopause because I think a lot of us don't know. But before I do, I wanted to ask, have you attended my free training, The Balanced Effect, yet? In the training, I go over the 3 harmonious steps to looking, thinking, and feeling happy, healthy, and sexy over 40. And you can register through the link that I put in this post. I'll double check when I am done to make sure. And actually, I'll just put it in the comments as well to this video. And then I am going to, for the first time, I'm going to present my screen and I create a presentation for you guys because there's certainly no way that I'll be able to remember everything that I want to go over just off the cuff. So let's get started and I will share my screen. And I need to go back to the beginning because I was testing it out. So getting to know your hormones. And where I want to start is your key hormone producing glands. Oh good, it's showing. So your key hormone producing glands, there's 3 of them. It's your thyroid gland, your adrenal gland, and your ovaries. Your thyroid gland, it's your body's gas pedal. It produces the hormones responsible for your metabolism. And the bad news is in your 40s, your thyroid function slows. So a lot of the women that have been coming into my Facebook group and indicating that their biggest struggle is their weight, they indicate, oh, I just have gained all this weight and no matter what I do, I can't seem to get it off. And that is a large part because your thyroid function slows in your 40s. And then we have the adrenal glands. So those produce the hormones that manage your stress response, your blood sugar levels, your immune system, water retention, and blood pressure. And then finally, your ovaries. I'm sure you've heard of those. They're your prime reproductive glands. And they produce eggs for fertilization. They produce reproductive hormones such as estrogen and progesterone. And in menopause, your ovaries stop producing hormones. So they're going to stop producing the estrogen and progesterone. Okay, just want to make sure I don't have any comments or questions. So if you guys have any comments or questions, you can certainly put them in the comments and I'll check periodically. So let's go over your hormones. So I'm going to go over the steroid hormones first. And the first one is pregnenolone. And this is considered the mother of hormones because it's produced in your adrenals, sex organs, and spinal cord, and it's the source of progesterone, cortisol, DHEA, testosterone, and estrogen. So it's responsible for creating all of these hormones. And progesterone is produced by your ovary or your adrenals when your ovaries are missing, because I know some of you might have had that happen. It allows you to get pregnant, but it also, if you're not pregnant, it helps you stay calm. It helps you feel clear-headed. It helps you fall asleep, and it helps you feel balanced. So this is the first hormone to go when you are chronically stressed. And I know this very intimately because until recently, probably like the past year, my progesterone was like almost undetectable. So it really affects, and it also is responsible for your hair looking and looking great. So it's a really important hormone. And then cortisol. I talk about this a lot in regards to belly fat, and I can't emphasize enough the importance of reducing your stress, taking time for mindfulness and self-care, because cortisol has so many negative effects, and it's really important. So it's produced by the adrenals. It influences changes from emotional, physical, spiritual, and toxic stress. And constant elevated levels lead to increased belly fat, accelerated aging, your skin sagging, lines on your face, mood and brain problems, including MS and Alzheimer's. And then PCOS, this goes, if for those of you who have elevated testosterone levels and PCOS, elevated levels of cortisol contributes to that, and it contributes to sleep issues as well. And then DHEA is the precursor to testosterone in all estrogens. It's an anti-aging hormone responsible for you feeling sharp and strong. And it's also responsible for lubrication of your joints and your lady parts as well. So that's important. Testosterone. It's produced in your ovaries and in adrenal glands. And while this is primarily a male hormone, this is the only hormone, sex hormone that they have. We have it as well in lower amounts, and it gets converted to all three estrogens. So that is really critical, ladies, or to you. It's converting to your estrogens. Okay, and maybe you didn't know this, maybe you did. There's 3 different types of estrogens, and those are produced in the ovaries. So there's estrone, which is E1. It's a weaker estrogen, higher in pregnant and menopausal women. So when our, I'm going to go over the E3, the estriol lowers, then the estrone is more dominant. But estradiol, it's E2, it's the antagonistic estrogen. So it's actually, we get synthetic forms of this estrogen in our daily use products. So in a lot of our makeup, our like lotions, body wash, laundry detergent, and in our just everything in plastics. So there's xenoestrogens present in those products that disrupt our hormone balance. And if you have a high amount of this estradiol, it's like not the good estrogen. So it's the leading cause of breast, ovarian, uterine, thyroid, and lung cancers. And when you're estrogen dominant, so when you're gaining a lot of weight in your hips and thighs, it's from an elevated amount of this estradiol. So you definitely want to try to flush that out of your system to reduce the risk of cancer and to feel better. So finally, the last form is estriol. And it's the E3, and it's the protective estrogen. So it's healthy, it promotes healthy and youthful skin, and it prevents hot flashes and night sweats. Oh, good. Now you can see it. Sorry about that. And then our non-steroid hormones. So we're going to go talk about T4 and T3. Those are thyroid hormones. T4 is produced by the thyroid, and it can't be directly used until it's converted to T3. So your energy, body fat, mental alertness, quality of hair, skin, and nails depends on your T3. And then finally, we have leptin, and it's the hormone produced by your body's fat cells that signal the brain that you have just eaten, are full, and it's time to stop. So leptin resistance is a major cause of obesity. So if you just think about, if you do not have the signals that you have just eaten, or you're full and it's time to stop, you're just going to keep eating and eating and eating, and that leads to obesity. And then insulin. So it's a hormone from your pancreas. It sweeps sugar and the blood from the blood, and it delivers it to your cells. So a daily diet full of sugar and processed carbs, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, that it's not good. And it's because it shuts down insulin receptors and they won't accept insulin anymore. So half the population of US suffers from insulin resistance. And it also is the contributor to pre-diabetes, diabetes, PCOS, and high testosterone. So if you have these conditions, you have insulin resistance. So it is so important for you to realize that hormones do not exist in isolation. It's like a symphony. When one is off, all other hormones and body systems are off. So I'm going to give an example. It's called the pregnenolone steal. So progesterone is a pre-hormone to cortisol, and the body makes cortisol no matter what. But when you're stressed, your body steals from progesterone by shunting or shutting off pregnenolone to make more cortisol. So it blocks your progesterone receptors, and in turn, it causes poor mood, no stress response, and fluid retention. So if you have a lot of water retention, if you feel like you're really bloated all the time, it's most likely because of this. So another example of stress being very poor on the body, very bad on the body. And then another example is if you have low progesterone because of stress or whatever, that means that your estrogen is going to be higher in relation to your progesterone. So then that leads to estrogen dominance and a whole host of issues. So gain the weight on your hips and thighs, increased risk for cancers, and so on and so forth. I wanted to go over what perimenopause is. So it's the years of hormonal fluctuations before your last menstrual period, which I'm sure all of you have heard of, menopause. So it begins with those dropping progesterone levels, and it ends with dropping estrogen levels. So many of us in our 40s, just because of perimenopause, have estrogen dominance. And it causes mood fluctuations, weight increases, energy decreases, unpredictable menstrual cycle, erratic monthly ovulation. And some would say it's more difficult than menopause because of these wide hormone fluctuations. So common perimenopause imbalances is high or low cortisol. I would say if you're a busy working woman over 40 with kids, and even if you don't have kids, if you're a busy working woman over 40, very, very likely you have constant stress and you have elevated levels of cortisol, chronically elevated levels of cortisol, which are contributing to a lot of issues. And then when that continues on for a long time, then your body starts having low cortisol because it's all messed up. It can't produce. And then low progesterone, which I said, because that is a symptom of perimenopause. And then and as a result, you have excess estrogen, excess androgens, and low thyroid. So common symptoms, I guess I repeated this, but I'm going to go over it again. Not excited about life, social isolation, an expanding waistline, fluid retention, emotional instability. So if you're crying for no reason, or you just feel like you can't handle things the way that they used to, sign of perimenopause. Lack of motivation to exercise because you're likely not getting results. Insomnia, night sweats, unpredictable period, forgetfulness, a brain fog, doubting yourself, having exhaustion and depression. So if anyone's watching, I see 2 people are watching. Comment or put a thumbs up if you recognize any of these symptoms. So you have a choice. And this is just the ABCs. I'm not getting into everything that you can do. You can do nothing. You don't have to do anything. You just let nature take its course, and you may or may not suffer any of the symptoms that I went over. Or you could go the traditional route, or like the allopathic medicine route, which is managing your hormones through birth control and or hormone replacement. Or you could restore balance to your hormones through targeted exercise. So the right type, the right duration of exercise, nutrition, mindfulness, and self-care, and then nutraceuticals. So supplements that help naturally boost up your progesterone, help flush out excess estrogen, help reduce your testosterone levels. Just depends on what hormone imbalance you have. So to wrap up, it's just really important. I hope that you understood the critical. Oh, what is causing water retention? Hi, Jelena. I hope I said your name right, Jelena. Well, it's low progesterone. So progesterone helps with regulate your fluid retention. And then also if you have high cortisol, so if you have excess stress, you have the most cortisol receptors in your belly. So that's going to lead to inflammation in your stomach and weight gain in your stomach. So hopefully that makes sense. So the intent of this video is to help you realize that your hormones affect everything in your life. And a lot of us just ignore it. If there's not a problem, or if we don't realize there's a problem, we don't pay attention to it, because many of us probably had normal cycles. We had pregnancies easily. Well, I didn't, but and even back then, I didn't realize the importance of my hormones and what was causing my hormone imbalances, because I've had them most of my life. But especially as you hit your 40s, it's so important that your hormones are what are causing all of the symptoms and for you not to feel good. So my biggest suggestion is know your hormones, get your hormones tested if you haven't recently, by your doctor. And a word of caution also, something about traditional lab tests. So lab tests are the ranges that are created by labs. So the normal ranges are created by an average of everyone who's come in to get tested in that lab over a certain period of time. So the issue is, over time, just with American society, American diet, we have gotten unhealthier, and people come in with already abnormal ranges, and they're put into the average of the normal ranges. So even if you're within the normal range or at the bottom of a normal range of a hormone, that doesn't mean you don't have an imbalance. So if you're feeling symptoms of hormone imbalance, you are likely, you are imbalanced. So I think it's so important to go off your symptoms and be in tune with your body and how you feel. Because for myself, my ranges were in normal for many years, and I kept being told nothing was wrong, but I knew something was wrong. So, and eventually my levels went out of normal range, and then I finally was able to get the help that I need. But I just really want to urge you to be an advocate for your own health and know your body, and don't let these ranges tell you that you're okay when you're really not okay. So that's it for today. It was a lot more learning than I usually put in, but just as a reminder, I'm Hillary Rank, and I'm the creator of The Balanced Effect. And if you have not attended my free training yet, I put a link into the comments, and also it will be into this post. It's a free training, and it's going over the 3 harmonious steps for you to look, think, and feel happy, healthy, and sexy over 40. All right, I will be talking to you soon.